These are the events leading up to the cross. Palm Sunday, it was the day of acclaim. Every other kingdom, the baby was born a prince, and at the death of his father and mother, he would become a king. Jesus was a king before he ever came to earth, before he was ever born. He came into the world as King eternal, immortal, invisible, creator of heavens and earth and all in it. They were carrying palm branches when they came in one hand, and in the other they had willow branches. These are the two experiences that we experience as we go through life. There are palms of rejoicing or times of rejoicing, and there's the willow of weeping. It is said we walk hand in hand, one branch of rejoicing and the other hand the willow of sorrow. Jesus is passing through the palm branches on the way to the willow, the cross. Announced with gladness, he was anointed with gladness, he was the man of sorrow. He rode on a donkey when he came into Bethlehem before he was born. He was riding on a donkey when they proclaimed him king. As Christians, we're to love the righteousness and hate evil. In the garden, God gave Eve the promise that he would triumph over Satan. God preached the first sermon after Satan thought he had a jubilant victory when Adam and Eve listened to Satan and went against God and did wrong. But the seed of the woman will be Satan's downfall. Micah says he is wonderful counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. That the seed of the woman came down from heaven in the form of a baby. Satan knew his downfall had been predicted. He saw the seed of the woman, and immediately he put in his heart to kill him. Jesus will destroy Satan's kingdom. At age 30, Jesus and Satan battles it out. The prince of darkness assailed him with every weapon he had. Lies hurled so freely at him. Jesus shows how crafty the devil is. He paraded behind the mask of lies that he promised his kingdom to Jesus if he'd bow down and worship him. Well, Jesus was going to crush his kingdom. There would be no kingdom left. Christ proved more powerful than Satan. Again, as he cast out unclean spirits, they asked him, "Have you come here to torment us before our time?" The time that they would be cast in a hell fire. The Garden of Gethsemane was the most suffering was caused by the Prince of Darkness. This is your hour and the power of darkness. The prince of this world cometh and has found nothing in me. Jesus had not sinned. Great drops of blood fell on the ground, pouring from Jesus' face. As the sweat turns to blood, as the pressure intensified, Satan comes to kill Jesus before the cross, and an angel comes to strengthen him. Peter, James, and John have fallen asleep. He asks them to watch and pray. A three-cord union is not easily broken, but the weariness of the day of labor, the long week of being assaulted by the enemy, and the lateness of the hour, the anxiety of all the events of the Passion Week had taken their hold on them physically. They were physically exhausted. He warned them to watch and pray lest they enter into temptation. Tarry and watch with me. My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Satan closes their eyes to the danger. Jesus cries out, "If there's any other way, let this cup pass from me." This shows that there was no other way to heaven except for the way of the cross. Judas comes in the garden with soldiers to take Jesus. He who was so close to Jesus betrays him with a kiss. Jesus calls him friend. Jesus was a friend of sinners. I could call down 10,000s of angels to save me, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. Peter rises up when he finally wakes up and cuts off the soldier's ear. Jesus puts it back on. This war was not a physical war. It couldn't be fought with physical weapons. Hell with all its fury was placed in the hearts and minds of men all over the city. The religious leader, the 70 men of the Sanhedrin, held court at night to try Jesus. They were in such a hurry to condemn them, they couldn't even wait for the morning light. It was unlawful for them to hold court at night, so anxious to condemn him. So they covered up their evil deeds by pretending to do a few things in the daylight. Caiaphas the high priest and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death. Jesus said, "Hereafter shall you see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the cloud of heaven." He's guilty of death. Crucify him, crucify him. Pilate didn't want anything to do with him because he was an innocent man. He tried to get rid of him by sending him to Herod, but Herod sends him back to Pilate. Pilate says, "I find no fault with him." He wants to let him go, but the crowd called, "Crucify him, crucify him." So Pilate got some water and tried to wash his hand of the whole thing. He tried to proclaim that he was innocent, but no water, all the water in the world could not wash away his sin. And as he gives the people, Jesus over to the people, and they begin to whip him and beat on him. They said, "Oh, you are king." So they made a crown of thorns and put these long thorns that went down into his skull and crushed them down into his skull. They said, "Oh, you are king." So the king must have a royal robe, and so they got this robe. They took his nice robe and gave him another robe. And they said, "A king must have a scepter." So they thrust in his hand a reed. A reed was a weak plant that was easily crushed. So they were making like Jesus was a weak person. Then Peter, they spit on his face, and they blindfolded him and spit in his face, and they hit him in the face, and they said, "Well, who hit you? Tell us who hit you." As if the creator of all creation didn't know what was in their hearts. And they beat him to his back. Well, the skin was off his back, and you could see the bones picking, and it looked like hamburger meat probably after they had beat him so much. He didn't even look, by the time he got to a cross, he didn't even look like a human being. The creator of all mankind, they didn't think that they would know what they were doing. A young girl said to Peter, "You were with Jesus," and he denied knowing him. Another came to him and said, "We know that you were with him." And he vowed with an oath, "I don't know him." Then others began to say, "You were with Jesus." And he cursed and began to swear and say, "I don't know you. I didn't know him. Before the cock crowed, thou shalt deny me thrice." The clock crowed, and Peter remembered what the words of Jesus said, and he went out and wept bitterly, uncontrollably. The Jews couldn't carry out the sentence of death, so they took him to Pilate the governor, where Judas saw, when he saw that he had condemned, brought the money back and said, I have sinned. I have betrayed innocent blood. This is an innocent man." They didn't care, and they refused the money. Judas throws the money down, which had become his god, and it goes all over the temple floor, and he goes out and kills himself. He repented, but he cried bitterly and wept, but he did not believe as Jesus was the Son of God. He did not believe that he was God. and so he was not saved and went out and hung himself. I believe Jesus began saying, as they brought the false witnesses to accuse him, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. When they placed the crown of thorns upon him, Father, forgive them. When they pulled out his beard, Father, forgive them. As they play games and buffet him, Father, forgive them. When they put a fake robe and put a reed in him, I think Jesus was continually saying, Father, forgive them. I think if he had not done this, then the wrath of God would have fallen down on him. We, though weak, will triumph. Our captain triumphed for us. James 4:7 says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Church dividing, Satan's making headways on every hand, stand fast, so Satan will flee. Satan is afraid of us. There's a reason he resists us. He will rob you of the greatest blessing descending on your head. He hinders because the blessings are descending. He hinders because the night is almost over and the day star will appear. It is you if you are most bowed down, most tormented, most sorrowful, most tried, that will bring the greatest blessings. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Be of good cheer, most tried saints, your reward is great. Be strong and take courage, you saints of the Lord. He came into his own, and his own received him not. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, as he wept over the city, I would gather you as chicks under my wing, as a chickens gather her chicks, but you would not. Sunday, he lost the city.